Flappy Bird. In the spring of 2013, a programmer named Dong Nguyen built a mobile game in just 3 nights. He was living with his parents in Vietnam, working on taxi GPS software by day and making games by night. One night, he took a bird character from an old project of his, added some green pipes that looked a lot like something from Super Mario, and called it Flappy Bird. It was a game where all you had to do was tap the screen to keep a bird in the air and avoid green pipes. He launched the game in 2013, but for almost a year, no one noticed it. Then, at the start of 2014, without any clear reason, Flappy Bird suddenly exploded. It was downloaded more than 50 million times, and within weeks, it was the #1 app in more than 100 countries, making around $50,000 a day in advertising revenue. He was living the dream of every solo game developer. But the success wasn't coming from love, it was coming from anger. Players hated it. They complained about how difficult and addictive it was. Critics accused him of stealing art from Nintendo, pointed out how much its pipes and art style looked like Super Mario. Others accused him of buying fake downloads or reviews, even though no evidence ever proved those claims. Then things got darker. A fake news story claimed a teenager had his brother over a Flappy Bird high score. It was completely fabricated, pulled from a satirical site, but the panic around the game was already real by that point. As the game became more famous, his quiet life disappeared. Reporters began waiting outside his parents' house, television stations wanted interviews, and thousands of messages filled his social media every day. Some players said they couldn't stop playing. Others blamed Flappy Bird for failing exams, losing their jobs, or breaking their phones. Many of those messages were probably jokes, but he felt guilty. Having struggled with video game addiction himself when he was younger, he began to believe Flappy Bird was genuinely hurting people. On February 8, 2014, at the peak of Flappy Bird's success, he tweeted that he would remove the game in 22 hours because he simply couldn't take it anymore. Millions of people rushed to download it before it disappeared. Then the next day, Flappy Bird was gone from both the App Store and Google Play. He later explained that the attention had become overwhelming and that removing the game was the only way to get his life back. He continued making games, but none reached the same level of success. Musical.ly. Musical.ly actually started as an educational app where people could teach and learn through short videos, but it failed. The content wasn't engaging enough and almost nobody used it. Then they noticed that teenagers were filming themselves lip-syncing to music using their phones. It clicked, and in just 30 days, they created the first version of Musical.ly and officially launched it in August 2014. Users could record clips between 15 seconds and 1 minute, add licensed music, change the playback speed, apply filters, and share their videos across other social media platforms. But early on, growth was slow, so they decided to focus heavily on lip-syncing content and move their logo to a harder-to-remove spot, giving Musical.ly free advertising every time a video was shared to other platforms. This helped them reach the #1 spot on the App Store in more than 30 countries by 2015. Millions of videos were being uploaded every day. They signed licensing deals with major labels like Warner Music and Apple Music, and even launched spin-off apps like Lively for live streaming. But success came with problems. The app came under fire for safety and privacy issues. It was fined nearly $6 million by the Federal Trade Commission for collecting data from children under 13 without parental consent. Also, competition was heating up. Other platforms like Dubsmash and Facebook's Lasso were copying the lip-sync video format. In late 2017, ByteDance, the Chinese company behind TikTok, bought Musical.ly for around $800 million to $1 billion. At first, it kept running as a separate app, but less than a year later, they merged Musical.ly into TikTok, shutting down the original app. Musical.ly's accounts, videos, creators, and many of its features were transferred into the new app. TikTok was already popular in China but struggled to go global. Musical.ly was the exact opposite. It was huge in the US but couldn't get any traction back in China. By combining the two platforms, ByteDance merged hundreds of millions of users into a single app and focused all their resources on one product: Vine. Vine didn't originally start as a social media platform. It was a simple tool for people to film and edit clips of their daily life. But developers realized long videos were too large to share, so they shortened them to just 6 seconds. To make those clips more engaging, they added automatic looping. And just like that, Vine was born. Before the app even launched, Twitter saw its potential and bought the company for around $30 million. Vine was officially released in January 2013, and within months, it was one of the most downloaded apps in the world. The secret was its simplicity. Videos played automatically and looped endlessly. All you had to do was scroll through a feed of dangerously addictive 6-second clips. So really, it was the father of doom scrolling. But people took the time limit as a creative challenge and created everything from comedy sketches to stop-motion animation and music covers. And they created the most iconic memes of the internet. The platform exploded in popularity. Names like Shawn Mendes, Lele Pons, Logan Paul, King Bach, Zach King, and many others built huge audiences. Even major celebrities and brands started posting videos as Vine became one of the biggest trends on the internet. But behind the scenes, things were falling apart. Vine had millions of users, but it never developed a strong way to make money. So it never built a proper system for creators to earn money. Top Viners started working directly with brands, but the app offered basically zero support. Twitter continued funding the app while hoping it would eventually become profitable. But then all three founders had left the company, either quitting or being fired. By 2016, 18 of Vine's biggest stars demanded $1.2 million each to create 12 Vines a month. Twitter, already struggling financially itself, said no. Meanwhile, Instagram introduced video sharing only months after Vine launched, allowing videos much longer than 6 seconds. Snapchat also kept adding similar features. What had once made Vine unique slowly became a limitation. Many creators wanted more freedom, better editing tools, and actual ways to get paid. Vine was slow to deliver. By 2016, many of the platform's biggest stars were already moving their audiences to Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat. In October 2016, Twitter announced Vine was being shut down. For a short time, it survived as Vine Camera, a tool for posting videos to Twitter, but nobody really cared. An online archive kept millions of Vines until 2019, before it was eventually removed as well. Vine only lasted 4 years, but its influence never disappeared. It created short-form content and an internet culture that still exists today, Omegle. An 18-year-old boy named Leif K. Brooks launched a website from his home and called it Omegle. The idea was simple: you click a button and instantly paired with a random stranger for a private chat. No sign-ups, no profiles, no names, just you and a stranger. Within its first month, the site was getting over 150,000 page views a day. A year later, he added video chat. Suddenly, you weren't just typing to a stranger, you were staring at one, live, through a webcam anywhere in the world. That single update turned Omegle into a phenomenon. There was no way to predict who you'd meet next, and that was what made the website so addictive. One click could connect you with someone living halfway across the world. And during the COVID-19 lockdowns, even more people turned to Omegle as a way to talk to someone outside their own home. At its peak, it was pulling in over 70 million visitors a month. But the same thing that made Omegle exciting also made it dangerous. No sign-up meant no accountability. No age check meant no way to keep kids off the platform. And random pairing meant you never knew who was on the other side of the screen. As more people abused it, many users began sharing negative experiences that slowly changed how people saw the platform. Omegle tried to limit the problem with moderation systems, AI filters, monitored chat sections, and by working with law enforcement to report illegal activity. Even so, people were connected instantly, making it impossible to stop harmful content before it appeared on someone's screen. As a result, the website became linked to dozens of criminal cases across the UK, the US, and Australia. By November 2023, Leif K. Brooks announced that Omegle would shut down permanently. In his farewell message, he admitted that some people had used the service to commit crimes and said continuing the fight was no longer sustainable, either financially or psychologically. Club Penguin. Club Penguin didn't begin as the massive online world you remember. It actually started back in 2000 as a tiny experiment called Experimental Penguins. And honestly, it was nothing special, just a place to waddle around and chat. But the idea kept growing. Experimental Penguins became Penguin Chat, adding more rooms, simple customization, and eventually a few mini-games. One of those games, Ballistic Biscuit, would later become the Hydro Hopper that so many of us remember. The platform was created by a small team of parents who wanted a place where kids could hang out online without being bombarded by ads or inappropriate stuff. So they decided to build that space themselves. They funded the game using their savings and personal credit cards. And Club Penguin officially launched in October 2005. It was a pretty simple game. You played as a cartoon penguin in a snowy world. You could explore different areas, play mini games to earn coins, decorate your igloo, join seasonal events, and adopt little colorful creatures called puffles. But what really made Club Penguin different was the feeling that the world was alive. Every area had its own personality, there was always something happening, and for a lot of kids, it became the first online community that actually felt welcoming. The game was designed for kids aged 6 to 14, and the developers went all in on safety. There were strict chat filters that blocked personal information and swearing. There were hundreds of moderators, parental controls, and even a special chat mode that only let players choose from pre-written messages. Parents trusted it, and kids felt free and had fun. But it didn't have a huge marketing campaign behind it. Instead, people discovered it through friends, online forums, and players from the older Penguin chat games. Yet by 2007, Club Penguin had over 30 million accounts. Most of its income came from optional memberships, which unlocked extra features, but most players never paid a cent since the free version was generous enough. That success eventually caught Disney's attention. In 2007, Disney bought Club Penguin for $350 million. The game became bigger than ever, expanding into books, toys, console games, and events based on Disney movies like Star Wars and Frozen. By 2013, more than 200 million accounts had been created. But that's also when a lot of longtime players felt things started to change. More content was locked behind memberships, prices went up, and the game's original identity slowly gave way to constant Disney promotions. Disney cut staff, shut down international servers, and the updates weren't exciting anymore. The soul of the game was gone. So in 2017, Disney announced that Club Penguin would shut down and be replaced by a new mobile game called Club Penguin Island. Before the servers went offline, players gathered for one last event. A few moments later, the servers disconnected. Club Penguin Island never found an audience and quietly shut down less than 2 years later as well. But the community didn't move on. Fans built private servers using archived files from the original game. The largest, Club Penguin Rewritten, attracted over 11 million players, especially during the pandemic. But Disney eventually shut it down too. Today, Club Penguin lives on through small underground servers run by dedicated fans. AIM. If you know AIM, you know the real internet. AOL had already built a feature called the buddy list, which let people see when their friends were online. That sounds completely normal today, but back then it was something people had never really seen before. Some employees even called it the stalker feature because they were uncomfortable with others knowing when they were online. In 1997, a small group of AOL engineers released a side project called AOL Instant Messenger, and they posted it quietly to the AOL download section. Their bosses hated the idea and even wanted to fire the lead developer, but by the time they noticed, AIM was too popular to shut down. Anyone with an internet connection could download it, no AOL subscription required. It also gave users a personal online identity. You picked a screen name, customized your profile, wrote away messages, and built a buddy list full of classmates, friends, and family. Teenagers used it after school. Office workers used it like Teams. It created today's internet acronyms too. LOL, BRB, and TTYL all became common because of how fast people typed in AIM windows. For years, AIM kept growing. Apple built support for it into iChat, and other developers created apps that connected to the AIM network. It looked like the future of online communication. But the mobile revolution changed everything. Text messaging became cheaper and more common. Google launched chat directly inside Gmail. Facebook also built messaging right into the platform. And smartphones made it possible to stay connected everywhere instead of only when sitting at a computer. AIM's own engineers tried to convince AOL leadership to adapt, but nobody listened. By 2011, AIM's market share had fallen below 1%. The next year, AOL ended up letting go of almost the whole crew. The service officially shut down in 2017. Even though AIM disappeared, its ideas never really did. Buddy lists became contact lists. Away messages became status updates. Apps like Slack, Discord, Teams, and many others still use ideas that AIM introduced decades ago.